The phone call ends. You don't hang up immediately. For a second you just stare at the screen. Then it goes dark. The room doesn't change. The furniture is exactly where it was a moment ago. The air conditioner is still running. Cars still pass outside. Yet somehow everything suddenly feels quieter. Not peaceful. Quieter. Almost as if the silence has moved closer to you. It is strange. 5 seconds ago, someone was talking. Now the silence somehow says more than the conversation did. Why? The same thing happens after guests leave your house. For hours there is laughter, music, conversations from every corner of the room. Then the front door closes. You lock it, walk back inside, and suddenly the house feels completely different. Not emptier, different. Or maybe you've noticed it after leaving a movie theater. You step outside. The crowd slowly disappears. The parking lot grows quiet. For a brief moment, the world feels almost unfamiliar. What is it about silence that can completely change a place without moving a single thing? Silence does not sound the same everywhere. Think about the quiet inside a public library. People whisper, pages turn. Someone pulls out a chair, the silence feels calm. Now think about the silence in a hospital waiting room. Nobody is speaking there either, yet it feels completely different. Or imagine Thanksgiving. The house has been full all day. Family talking over one another. Kids running through the hallway, football playing in the background. Hours later everyone leaves. Dirty plates are still on the table. Half-empty coffee cups sit in the kitchen. The same house, the same rooms, but suddenly the silence feels almost alive. How can that be? If silence is simply the absence of sound, why does it carry so many different emotions? Maybe we have been asking the wrong question all along. Most of the day silence doesn't stand a chance. Your alarm rings, coffee starts brewing. The morning news plays in the background. Traffic fills the interstate. Your phone buzzes, co-workers ask questions, someone calls, a delivery arrives. By the time evening comes, your attention has been borrowed by 100 different things. Even the smallest quiet moments disappear almost instantly. Standing in line for coffee, you check your phone, waiting for the microwave, you answer a text, walking across a parking lot. Earbuds go in. Without realizing it, we have become experts at making sure life never stays quiet for very long. Not because we're trying to escape silence. At least that is what most of us believe. Then something unexpected happens. Every once in a while, life makes a decision for us. The power goes out during a storm. Your phone battery dies. You are driving home, and without thinking you switch the radio off. At first, nothing seems different. Then something quietly changes. Your attention slows down. You notice the rain tapping against the windshield, the rhythm of your turn signal, the tires rolling across wet pavement, a train somewhere in the distance, things that were happening the entire time, but somehow never reached you. It is almost as if silence does not remove the world. It returns it, and that is when something even stranger begins to happen. Not outside, inside, a thought quietly appears, then another, not because you were looking for them, because there was finally enough space for them to arrive. But here is the part almost nobody stops to ask. If silence is really just the absence of sound, why does it sometimes feel like it is trying to tell us something? Most people believe silence changes the way we feel. But what if we've been looking at it backwards this entire time? What if silence has never been the thing speaking? What if it is simply the moment when everything else finally stops? Maybe silence was never the loud part. For years most of us have quietly blamed silence. We say things like it is too quiet, or I need some background noise, as if silence itself is doing something to us. But imagine walking into a room after someone turns the television off. The room does not suddenly become empty. You simply begin noticing what was already there. The refrigerator humming in the kitchen, rain tapping against the window, the clock you have ignored all day, the neighbor closing a car door outside. Nothing new appeared. The noise simply stepped aside. Maybe silence has been misunderstood in exactly the same way. Maybe it never arrives carrying something new. Maybe it simply allows ordinary things to be noticed again. Not just the sounds around us, but the moments we've been rushing past all day. The things we only notice when life slows down. Have you ever sat on your back porch after everyone else had gone to bed? The same porch you have walked past 100 times, yet somehow at night it feels completely different. You notice the wind moving through the trees, a distant train crossing town, crickets that somehow seemed invisible all day. You were not looking for those sounds. They were simply waiting for enough quiet to be heard. Maybe that is why people remember ordinary evenings more than they realize. A summer barbecue after everyone has gone home, the silence after a graduation ceremony ends, the empty baseball field after the final inning, the first cup of coffee before anyone else wakes up. Nothing extraordinary happened, yet years later, those are often the moments we remember, not because life became louder, because it finally slowed down enough to be experienced. Maybe we've spent so much time chasing extraordinary moments that we've forgotten how beautiful ordinary ones already are, what silence has been trying to show us. Maybe this is why some silence feels comforting, while other silence feels impossible to sit with. Not because silence changes, because every quiet moment gently removes another layer of distraction, until eventually there is nothing left between you and the life that is already in front of you. The rain outside your window, the warmth of a coffee mug in your hands, the old family photo hanging in the hallway, the sound of your own footsteps across the living room floor. These things are not competing for your attention. They never were. They have simply been waiting. Perhaps that is why people drive into the mountains, sit beside lakes, wake up before sunrise, or stay outside for a few extra minutes after everyone else has gone inside. Maybe they are not searching for silence. Maybe they are searching for the version of life that only silence allows them to notice. Let's go back to where this began. The phone call ended, the screen went dark. Nothing in the room had changed, yet everything felt different. Maybe now you know why. Silence was never louder than sound. It only felt that way because for the first time all day, nothing else was asking for your attention. And when the noise finally stepped aside, life quietly returned. The sounds you'd stopped hearing, the moments you'd stopped noticing, the feelings you'd been too busy to recognize. Maybe silence has never been empty. Maybe it has been giving something back. The chance to experience ordinary life before it quietly becomes another memory. And perhaps that is why silence can feel so loud. Not because it has a voice, but because it is the only moment all day when the rest of the world finally stops talking. Tonight, before you turn on the television, before another playlist starts, before your phone fills the room with one more distraction, give yourself 60 seconds. Sit somewhere quiet, near a window, on your porch, or simply in the room you are already in. Don't try to think, don't try to clear your mind. Just notice. Notice the sounds that have been there all day without asking to be heard. Notice the ordinary moments that usually disappear beneath the noise of everyday life, because maybe the most meaningful parts of life were never hidden. Maybe they were simply quieter than everything else. I genuinely love to know, where does silence feel different to you? Is it after everyone leaves the house? During a late night drive? While it is raining? Or somewhere completely unexpected? Read through the comments too. You may discover that the quiet moment you thought belonged only to you has quietly been shared by millions of people all along.